Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tarnation TV. We're broadcasting here tonight at TMP. This is very cool tonight. We're running the old school IROC mod. I love the way this thing looks. I haven't seen this mod in a very, very long time. I believe this is the original one created by Project Wildfire. Either way, we'll talk about that in a second. Very big thank you, of course, to TMP, SMO. They're kind of in conjunction with each other with this stuff for having us here live doing this broadcasting for them. This is a 4-week thing, so we are here for the next 4 Wednesdays. My name is Blaine Donlan, joined by the one and only Rod Weston. Good evening, Mr. Weston.
Yes, sir. We're back at it again. We got 4 weeks of this straight in a row for the TMP Championship. Now, it's kind of a unique thing they do over here. It's not like, they run one series and then they, get to the end of it and they determine the drivers along the way by wins or anything like that. This is a 4-race series, which is kind of cool. They start off with Cup. They run 10 weeks of Cup. And then they went with 10 weeks of the trucks. And then they went 10 weeks with the Aero 88 and determined the 12 drivers that are eligible tonight. So Tom Musa, John Wall, Josh 2, and Viper all qualified in the Cup Series. Richard Naka, Jamie Tedder, Tom Goodman, and Richard Finkel all qualified through the trucks. And RC, Dick Jordan, Dan Rubino, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but he qualified. Okay, I guess he did. Anyways, and Robert Spring and Wayne Disco qualified through the Aero 88. What I'm talking about, Dan Rubino, he has been kind of a part-time guy here. Unfortunately, Dan went down to Florida to hang out with his daughter for a little bit. So Tom Musa was driving his car for him and got him into the championship. It was a group thing. They all talked about it, but it should be a lot of fun for these guys. And agree with you for 100%. I think this mod is probably one of the better IROC mods. I have a toss-up between the IROC Camaros and the Firebirds.
Is this the original Project Wildfire one?
I believe the original one might have been the IROCs, but I'm not 100% sure. Because remember, the IROC started out as they were Porsches, then they were kind of mid-70s Camaros, and then they went to the IROCs cars, and then I believe the Dodge Avenger was in there before the Firebird came in.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's been so long. This simulator's been around for so long. I know I've used this mod before, but it's been a really long time. When I booted it up and saw that splash screen, I was like, oh, yeah, this is the good stuff. I like this stuff. The IROC mods are great. And
I've always been a big fan of the Firebird on these. They are pretty cool looking. Nice aerodynamic look to them. Mm-hmm. I just think it is. It's a good mod. We can go through qualifying real quick. So remember, the one thing about qualifying tonight, there were 2 drivers that were uneligible to qualify for this evening's race. That was Robert Spring and Jamie Tedder. And the reasoning behind that was you had to race a certain amount of races to be able to qualify to get into the championship and do that. But Robert Spring was a kind of a latecomer into the deal. I raced over here at TMP for quite some time. Robert we're good buddies, and he kind of follows me wherever I go, most of the time following us with the broadcast, but he does race in a few places that I race. We came over and we raced the latter part of the truck series. That gave him an opportunity to get in here and get known with the guys and race. And then we switched over and we were racing the Aero 88s. And then unfortunately for them guys, fortunately for me, ASR started up their Wednesday night Open Cup series. That's where I race. So Robert Spring stayed over here and was able to qualify to get into the championship round.
Yeah, man. And you were saying before, too, it's a long way to get into this series, and it's a 4-race shootout.
It's a 4-race elimination style shootout.
Right.
Okay, so tonight, 4 drivers will be eliminated from the championship. Well, I say eliminated. No, not quite out of it yet. But 4 drivers will be eliminated out. They'll run their run tonight. Then next week, they'll go. I'm not sure what the track is for next week as of yet.
I think it was USA International, I believe.
So they're going to go to USA National next week. And then another 3 drivers will be eliminated. That will bring that total down to 6. Then they'll go to the third race of the season, and 3 more drivers will be eliminated. Now, where I was talking about before, one driver out of those 9 drivers who accumulates the most points in the first 3 races will get the last spot. So then there'll be 4 drivers going for the championship. And it's typical, just like what NASCAR had been doing. It's 4 drivers going for the championship. Whoever finishes ahead of who is going to be the champion.
Right, like you're saying, when drivers are like eliminated from, they're not like they can still race. They're just they stop tracking points.
They still track the points. They have to, because the last 9 drivers afterwards, which we're getting ready to go green here.
Yep.
Last 9 drivers afterwards will have the opportunity to still race, for the champion. But it's just going to be the one driver that accumulates the most points out of the 9 drivers that don't make the show.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, but yeah, it's neat. Very unique too. I like the setup, and of course these cars look awesome. Do we know who painted these things up?
Yeah, I believe these were done by Roger Nevelsek, but I'm not 100%. I believe he's the one that did these.
Drivers, start your engine.
Yeah, they look cool. They come out with a template. You got your name on the car. You've got your. Well, we can check it out here.
Keep your eye on the 44 tonight. That's Dan Rubino. He hasn't been here for a little while. His sister Barbara is in the chat. Also, DJ Johnson, we call him DJ there, Dale Johnson, he is on the chat. He used to race over here, but he ended up going over to Open Speedway, and I think he's having what they call a little more fun over there, so that's where he's been racing. You see we have an Apex Motorsport. I'm not sure who that is. Number 19, I believe that is probably Chris A.
19, I would imagine. Yeah, he can usually runs that number. So here we go. The International Race of Champions. Modification for your NASCAR Racing 2003 season simulator. Hard to believe this thing's over 20 years old, eh? It's awesome.
I'd kind of say, if I had to be a betting man, you got to keep your eyes open on some of those FMO guys. You got Viper out there, Jamie Tedder, John Wall. These guys are pretty good, but don't take it away from your standard TMP guys. Rich Napick is really good. Rich Finkel. That's going to be a good one. Pace car makes the trip down pit road.
It's fun that these 2 leagues can come together and do this because, the more the merrier.
Yep. They run on the SMO server too. So, great start by Viper. That inside line got a really good jump.
I had to change the camera pack because we were testing before the race started. I was testing out the cameras, and there was a couple of them that kind of landed in weird spots. So we went back to the stock Vegas camera pack. A little glitchy because there's some new buildings that were added to this version of Vegas. This is a safer barrier project of the 07. So 2007 safer barriers, they added in some extra truck side objects that you'll see. If you see buildings, I'll try to make sure that we can see the race. TV1 coming down the front straightaway is obstructed.
Yeah, every time I go down the front stretch, I see exactly what you mean because I do watch TV1, but for the most part. But
I like some foreground elements. These cameras are cool, but if they drop a brand new building right in the infield, then it's completely covered. But yeah, very, very cool track. Las Vegas is a cool track.
So
mile and a half, if I'm right?
I believe so. It's pretty close to that.
Behind a building right now.
Yes, it is a mile and a half. What do they call the cookie cutters?
Yeah. Yeah, very similar, like what? Atlanta, Texas, Vegas, Chicago,
Kentucky,
Homestead.
Kansas. They're all kind of around the same. They just get different banking and different progressive banking and different stuff like that.
It is funny how you could technically make the same track 6 times, but they're all going to still race different.
Oh, wait.
Some guys can't stand... they can't stand
stuff.
Vegas, but they love Charlotte. And I'm like, same track, bro. Like, I don't... but it's not, Yeah.
And then just so you're going to remember tonight, a couple of different rules over here from a lot of the other leagues that we do stuff at. Now, they have a tire rule. Normally, they only have a 10-tire rule per race. Now, that's in where they do a 2-race season, as John Wall's starting to kind of take a look underneath Viper there, trying to poke his nose down there. He's got Richard Napick also watching that good fight up front, seeing what he can do, and John Goodman back to him forth. They have a tire rule over here. So the tire rule usually, like I said, is 10 tires they do 2 races a night, and they have 10 tires available to them for each race. They start with the 4 tires they have on there, and they have an extra 6 sets of 6 tires, that they can use. Well, tonight's a little bit different. So tonight they have 8. We're only doing 1 race, a little bit longer race, and they have 18 sets of tires, or 18 tires, I should say.
18, so, yeah. 18 sets. Yeah, no, 18 tires total.
They start with the 4 they have on the car, so they have 16 tires that they can use however they want to do it. But remember, they cannot change tires under yellow flag conditions, or there's penalties. As John Wall puts to the bottom down there, I think he's going to lead this lap, and he is able to do so.
The tire limit's cool because that's a weird number, because that's not complete sets. That's 4 extra sets plus 2, so you can get creative with how you picked.
It really depends on how the race runs out. We've seen these guys. We did their Air 88 the championship, and we did one for them guys in the middle of the run last week. Both races were won by Jamie Tedder. A lot of cautions early on in the first race. A few, and then the race kind of had a little bit of a green note to it. Jamie got up into the booth, and we did his interview with him, and he said, I'm going to do exactly the same thing next race. And then the race had a lot less green flags, but yet the cautions kind of fell, and where they did and how it fell for Jamie. He was able to make the best use of it, and actually didn't use all of the tires that are allotted to him all night long. So, and he won both. So.
Just watching the battle back here for around 5th position. You got 2, Rubino, and they're creeping up on Viper, who slipped back a few positions. Was leading the race in that purple 24.
John Wall currently out front. Yeah, I guess DJ is pulling for him, so he wants him to win. Remember, the guys say, they don't have to win, but if they go out there and they do good. So if John Wall wins tonight, but next week, but for say something happens and he gets eliminated, he's still got that win. That's the most points you're going to get per race, and it's whoever the 9 drivers are. Then the highest points finisher in those 9 out of the 9 drivers is the guy that's going to transfer into that last and 4th spot.
Yeah, right now the broadcast, we can't really show much on the screen as far as like the standings go, because of course this is race number 1, so there isn't really any. Next week we'll definitely have more info to display in that regard. Yeah,
basically it's just the top 9 drivers of tonight. That's exactly the way it's going to be. Whoever finishes 9th and up are going to transfer, and the last 3 drivers are not going to transfer. Like I said, they're not out of it yet, but they're not going to transfer. They're not going to assure themselves that coveted top 3 spot in the championship for the last race.
Yeah, so this race here pretty much locks it in, and then can anybody join? Like next week, anybody could come out and race, right? Once this kind of sets it in motion.
The way they did this is, and in kind of one of those things that we were talking about that earlier. You know how sometimes when you have a broadcast race, you'll get a few people that come out of the woodwork. They want to come out. They want their name mentioned and whatnot. But they could probably jeopardize somebody's chance at a championship. So you basically, the reason why Jamie Tedder and Robert Spring didn't get the opportunity to qualify is because they didn't run enough of the races. As Tom was picking on Jamie earlier, he said you took too many vacations. And Robert obviously came in late to the fold. So they, even though like Roger Nevelsek and Aiden Nevelsek and Brian Broswanger were racing last week, none guys are not qualified to come in and race because they didn't race enough races during the season. So had you raced enough during the season but not made it into the championship, 12, you could have still raced, but they don't want to introduce anybody new or anything like that during their championship match.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's good. Let the guys who've been here week in and week out get a chance to get this thing rolling. and then invite everybody else to join in when there's only 3 races left. And
I'm not sure when Tom will be starting this back up. As I was just going to say, I was watching Richard Knappick. He was up into the 2nd spot. I don't know if he maybe pushed a little bit too hard, got his tires a little bit hot, wanted to cool them down a little bit, or just that fact that he was like, well, these guys are pushing harder than I want to. I'm just going to roll back a little bit, save a little bit of tires. He is running a higher groove now, so that would be a kind of the higher groove here does have a tendency to be a little bit easier on tires in 3 and 4. I would say not so much in 1 and 2. In my experience at this place, as you see most of the guys that are making up time, 1 and 2, you want to be right down there by that white line.
multi-groove tracks are always a lot of fun.
Yep.
Different driving styles. Yeah.
I've always liked this track. I mean, it's not a bad little track. If you get the setup right, especially with a fixed setup, it's a fun track to drive. Most of the time, to me, it's going to be a little bit too tight. That's just, I like to have a car that's, Tom Goodwin got in the wall going into turn 1. But I like to have a car a little bit looser setup. But you just have to, back your corners up a little bit. I was, talking with Robert Spring earlier about it, and I was like, you kind of got to, this is one of those tracks that's really weird. You always kind of want to late apex off corners. Well, you want to do that in 1 and 2. You'd go into the corner in 3 and 4. You go into the corner a little bit on the higher side, and then you kind of arc down, and you come down and you hit that white line as you exit the corner. Here, you kind of want a midway exit on 1 and 2. You don't want to do a late apex. You want to kind of midway. You want to kind of stay at that bottom, because when you exit out of turn 2, and I've always found it ends up being a little bit tight, and if you're up on that higher groove, it usually kind of pushes you up to that wall, as we've seen a few people, just tap that wall and you exit a turn 2.
Yeah, and sometimes it seems like it gets away from you. When you're looking at the wall, you're going to end up on the wall. It's one of those things. You got to look to where you want to go. It applies to real life driving, and it's funny how it actually applies to this too. It's like, I don't want to hit that wall, but if you're looking at it, you probably will. You got to concentrate somewhere else.
Yeah, I was kind of chuckling a little bit when I saw you replayed the incident where Tom Goodman had, tapped the wall. I can't tell you how many times I've done that going into the corners. I'm just trying to get up in that highest part as I can to get the, the great run through the corner, and I clip the wall.
Yeah. And
So
this
easy
here
to do.
being the safer barrier project version of this track, of course, the barriers were added. You don't lose too much track space, too much width, but there's a couple feet missing.
It does bring that wall just a little bit closer to you.
Yep.
But currently, right now, John Wall still out front. You have the information of who led all the laps and stuff. Tom Goodman did make it past Viper to get himself into the 2nd position. Viper's obviously 3rd. Rich Knappick is in the 4th position, and Dan Rubino, the part-time, vacation guy. Now, Tom Musa actually raced for him. The group got together and they asked if they'd mind because Bino was on vacation, and everybody said, no, that's fine, that's perfect, let's do it. So Tom ran his car for the Aero 88 series for the most part. I think Dan made a few of the first races, and then got him into the championship. Now he's got to, Bino's got to go out there and wheel it himself.
And you were speaking about the laps led so far. Viper has led 5, and John Wall has led the rest. Looks like we're headed into the pits now.
Lap 22, John Wall is coming down onto the pit road.
And they need to enter early, eh?
Yeah. So one of the rules they do over here just about every track is you have to enter the pits on the backstretch. Where that does is it eliminates, as Viper is also coming down with him, it eliminates somebody trying to do a quick stop at an exit of 4 and getting rear-ended.
Right.
Just makes it a little bit better for that purpose. Tom Goodman was stayed out and was able to leave that lap. Now we got Wayne Driscoll, Richard Finkel, Jamie Tedder's coming in, Tom Goodman's coming in,
Pretty much everybody.
Richard Knappick. Yeah. So we know they can do about 22 laps. Probably tire wear that's, and or fuel, because if I remember correctly, they are running 3X tonight. So that gives it a little bit more, tire wear, a little bit more less fuel mileage.
So this is where our off-track admins in Aiden and Roger will be counting tires and, just keeping a list to see who. Make sure, if anybody uses too many tires, I mean, the game will let you pit and take tires all day. If you go over that limit, is there a penalty? There must be a penalty of some kind.
Yep, there's a 1 lap penalty if you go over the tire limit. There's also what you are required to do. Should you go down under yellow flag conditions and actually forget and take tires, you are required to come around, take the green flag, Rod Weston rule, take the green flag, and then go down into pit road. You have to do a stop and go penalty, so you need to make sure you turn your tires off again, go down to a stop and go, and then come back out, and that will clear your penalty. If you choose not to do that, at the end of the race, you will receive a 1 lap penalty.
Right. So there is a way to be, okay, I made a mistake. I got to fix this because I don't want that post-race -1, which could be huge. You're better off to deal with it during the race under green.
You want to go and know how important tires are. So John Wall and Viper weren't way up front. They had a little bit of a lead on the pack. They pitted 1 lap earlier than the rest of the field. John Wall had an excellent pit stop. Viper right behind him. He's just over about a second and a half behind. But third place, Tom Goodman, is almost 6 seconds behind. So tires, that 1 lap out there running on fresh tires made up the difference of about almost 5 seconds.
And with 105 laps, I mean, they got a lot of tires, but you really could run low on that too. And I mean, you're going to see these guys now, like maybe trying to do 2 tire stops, and there's math.
I think you'll see most of them in the early goings of this. Every stop, if they're running it, as far as they're going to do 4 tires. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, at some point in time, they may have to they can only do 2 tires. And I think for the most part, the racing that I've done over here and what I've seen, everybody always takes their 4 tires, and then saves that just the right side for the end.
Yeah, right. I see what you mean. Yeah, save it all up.
Yeah, Tom Goodman tried that one race that I was racing over there with, and I mean, I even thought about doing it. I thought that might be a pretty good strategy. You go out there, you run, you come in, you take 2 right side tires, you go back out there and run, and you come in and you take 4 tires. Now you got the best tires of the whole field. It didn't work out for Tom. He ended up just you end up running more on the left side tires than you would if you were running them at the very, very end of it. You're chasing after a blimp.
I was going to say, I got the drone up in the sky here and almost got run over by the Goodyear blimp. I don't hear the helicopter, so he must have landed. There is a helipad around here somewhere. Each track has one, and I haven't seen a chopper yet.
Just kind of keeping focus on the drivers out there. Tom Goodman and Richard Knappick haven't really made up that much ground on the 2 guys in front, but it looks like Viper is running down, John Wall pretty good.
Yeah, and Wall and Viper are no strangers to each other. I mean, these guys battle it out every week, probably multiple times every week. Especially now that the 2 leagues have come together. Like, you've got the Josh's Eggs logo all over these cars. So that's obviously Josh too.
Yep.
Josh'sEggs.co.
If you watch into the SMO races, it's either John Wall, Viper, Chris Aiken. They're always seem to be together and always seem to be fighting, for positions. I've actually seen people win races because Wall and Chris were just getting so, they were racing, they were doing what they did out there, and somebody steps over the line just a little bit, and they end up spinning each other out. That's racing.
Tedder's usually a contender too.
Yeah, Tedder's no slouch. He is 9 times out of 10. Tedder's back there in 5th spot. He is not thinking about leading the most laps. He's thinking about, okay, you guys go out there and wear these tires off, because he's got a plan. He's got a plan. This race keeps going the way it's going. You wait. I think you'll see Tedder up there in the top 3 by the end of this race, without a doubt.
And we got Tom Musa back there in that 4 car there, sitting there in 6th spot.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen him.
Is he admin or owner or?
He is the guy that owns and runs everything over here for the most part. Him and Roger Nevelsek were the guys that kind of ran the show. Roger stepped away for a little bit, got out of racing. I get it. I've been there with you and I both been there doing that. You get to the point sometimes where you just like to take a step away from the racing thing, and that's what he did. And his son Aiden wanted to get into doing it, so they kind of started talking about it. Next thing you know, he come back. Once he got that wheel in his hand, he was hooked. He come back racing.
It's crazy how this thing's so old. The guys, we're working with our kids now.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Dad, that game looks pretty cool. Like, no, it is. It's been around a long time, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. Following this guy on Reddit coming up with all kinds of new ways to pull information out of the game and display it live. Jonathan Claudel, I think his name is. Oh my goodness, the last couple of days have been wild.
Some of that stuff that you sent me is incredible, and it was almost too bad, and maybe somebody will come up with a way for it to happen. It's almost too bad that you can't, as a broadcaster, have that pedal information, have that. I know why they don't do it. I mean, you look at John Wall, he's out there dominating. You save this replay, I'd be going back and studying what he's doing.
Yeah.
And looking at his pedal and looking at he's trail braking, or, I was getting on the gas too late, or, I was getting on the gas too early,
That's the thing. So, it's a cheating thing. Maybe, I guess it could be considered. I mean, the numbers exist, but those numbers only exist on the client side. Right. I'm stoked about the ticker software because it looks wild what he's doing with that. But even that stuff on the client side, if you're able to have that heads-up display and get like live tire temperatures right down to the decimal point and fuel pressure readings, like that's pretty crazy. Like, the amount of stuff he's been able to pull out of the game and display in real time. There's another guy I was following that was actually able to map the G-forces.
Oh, that's crazy.
We're just going through the field here. That's Dick Jordan right there.
Percy.
And Finkel's in front of him in 9th position in that 2 car. We were focused on that for a little while. And Driscoll back there in 11th in the 78.
I would be willing to bet you if you got a hold of Jeff Trowbridge over to AOR and said, hey, Jeff, let's make this happen so that we as a broadcaster could make that. I bet you he could find a way to make that happen.
Oh, the auto admin thing? Oh, just
well, he does the auto admin, but you think about it. If you could get it so that somehow that information was sent to the server and then that was sent to us, you know what I mean, kind of thing?
If we could see lap by lap somehow feed it to us so we could see it,
that would be kind of cool.
That would be wild. So John Wall has about a second lead on Viper, and then from Viper back to Goodman in 3rd, there's a 5-second gap from the leader. So
back there in 6th and 7th, I was watching a little bit of the battle between Tom Musa and Dan Rubino. Musa had Rubino had beaten him in qualifying. He got up in front of him. Tom had got that ahead of him for a little bit, and then I don't know what happened. I just got there. Tom probably either may have clipped the wall or something, or just lost it a little bit, and Dan Rubino's back in front of him. So remember, the top 9 have got to be the one to qualify. So if the race was to end right now, Dick Jordan, Richard Finkel, it would be RC, Josh 2, and Richard Finkel that wouldn't. No, see, I'm looking at that wrong again. Sorry. Wayne Driscoll, Robert Spring, and Dick Jordan wouldn't make the field right now.
So John Wall and Viper both should be coming up on pit stops here. I'm thinking in the next 3 laps.
Pretty soon, I would think.
Because they went in around 22, 23, which would be about 44, 45.
I think that would be safe to say.
Yeah, right now we're on lap 42. The live ticker is a little bit behind. It has like a 8-second refresh rate set to it. Although this new ticker software that I think it's Jonathan Claddle. That's one. I believe that's his name. Just in the last couple of days, I've been seeing what this guy's been doing day by day. His ticker software is wild.
Just keeping an eye there. You got Tom Goodman, then you've got Richard Knappick and Jamie Tedder, and they're just kind of running nose to tail. I don't think they're really pushing the issue. I think they're trying to see if they can go a little bit longer. And mind you, that would be, as we saw before, say them other guys pit a little bit earlier. But if they could go, keep doing this, keep adding maybe 1 to 2 laps to that, who knows? That strategy may come out to where they could possibly, maybe have 1 less pit stop, and that would be a big advantage.
Yeah, and a 105 lap race. Wall coming to the pits now.
Viper's right, we're coming with them.
That would be, in the long run, that would be pretty awesome if you could string that out. And okay, it might be pretty far behind, but if you only have to make, say, 3 pit stops instead of 4, that's a lot of time. We're just going to follow Wall down the pits here. See what he does for tire strategy.
So Tom Goodman was able to lead that lap again. He is pitting this time by. But, like I was thinking, Jamie Tedder and Rich Knappick, they're not pitted yet. They're staying out. It kind of looked to me like they were out there saving. Robert Spring is also still out there as well. So I think they're saving and trying to go a little bit further, see what they can maybe, stretch this race out. Maybe, like I said, lose 1 pit stop out of it.
Wall full service. Most of these guys are still doing full service.
So now Richard Knappick is pulling down on the pit road. No surprise, Jamie Tedder and Robert Spring are staying out. Robert Spring, I think he might have already pitted, just taking a look at the stuff, and yes, he has. He is running down Jamie Tedder with newer tires.
Yeah, currently 36 laps led by John Wall. Viper has 5, Goodman has 2, and Knappick has 2 also.
Jamie Tedder is headed down onto pit road. So that time there, he gained 2 laps. So I think you're kind of seeing that Jamie Tedder's got a strategy already tonight. That's what he's going to try to do, in hopes that maybe when he gets to the end, he can, 1 less pit stop. Hey, that could make a big difference here.
Could be, yeah. Currently your race leader, so he did lead that last lap and was able to. Yeah, I mean, especially in such a long race, that's really interesting to watch the pit strategies of some of these guys, because we've seen people do it before. Chambers always comes to mind, where he somehow was able to just outfuel everybody, running much slower. And it seemed like it would be a bad move. Like, you're just going to get lapped, and like, why would he be doing this? But at the end of the day, he ended up not having to pit that last time. He ran a 2-stop strategy where everybody else ran a 3-stop. And it was close, but he won the race.
Oh, look with the situation. If this thing keeps going green, that changes strategies a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Because if you're betting on caution flags coming out, and as you see here now, we've done almost the first 50 laps. Did we just say it?
Jamie Tedder must be too fast entering or exiting. He is coming back down pit road for a drive-through.
Okay, see, it's not showing me black flag on Tedder.
Just went down pit road,
and
he exited pit road, went right down the backstretch, and right back down pit road. Otherwise, I didn't, he could have probably taken tire. No, he was under green, so he could have. I'm not sure.
Yeah, GNL TV not recording a black flag, but sometimes I don't get that information. Sometimes the stats tracking program won't show it. So
did a drive-through down pit road. He did a drive-through,
so
it's going to hurt his race a little, but I know Jamie. He will not give up, and he'll keep plugging forward. So now John Wall is back out in front.
There's Goodman in third.
They're having about the same, they come out about a little over a second apart. Then Viper seems to usually catch up to him, and then they pit together, and he loses that a little bit. So John Wall's pretty spot on tonight on his pit stops.
And the gap from Viper to Wall is 1.4 seconds, and the gap from third place Goodman to Wall is 11.9.
That's the difference in having them new tires.
Mm-hmm.
We see them out there trying to just go a little bit further. That may or may not be an advantage too. And hey, any great strategy here could be ruined by one caution.
Well, and you think, yeah, exactly, the green flag aspect of it, right? Okay, we pit a little bit early, we get a jump on these guys. We can put a big gap in there. They might try to run a little harder to try to catch them. Guys might make some mistakes. But then you've got the other side of the coin where like, oh, okay, I'm going to run a little bit slower and maybe only, have to maybe pit one last time, or maybe not even that. Maybe only have to take right side tires a couple times so you can save time on pit roads. So there's all kinds of, ways to look at it. Yeah. And a unique track like this too. It's not a super speedway. You really got to hit your marks. Otherwise you're going to start, ripping tires off the thing. So that's, and 3X is good. Any little mistake in like a 1X, you're like, okay, whatever. You'd have to make that same mistake 10 laps in a row to see or to feel any difference in the car. Where at 3X, it's amplified pretty quick.
Dick Jordan just went one lap down. Mackenzie's in the chat. She says hi. So,
good evening, Miss Mackenzie.
Yeah, Wall's pretty good at, and he was talking to us earlier when I was in there, talking to the guys a little bit, finding out a little bit of information. He's missing bowling tonight to be here racing. So.
Ooh.
I was talking to a few guys. There's a few of them out there on Fanatec, some of them out there on Mosley's. Of course, Richard Knappick, he's on the old Sidewinder.
I love how guys use Fanatec controllers for this. That wasn't even a word in 2003. That's crazy.
Bob Spring's on a newer Thrustmaster, but the Mosleys and the Fanatec's they're expensive wheels, but they're pretty good wheels. So.
See, and I'd never heard of Mosley until you started talking about it, because that's what you run, right?
No, I run a TSW, but where I got it from was over a Hobo, Steve Rubino, which usually runs over here off and on. He was the first guy, one of the first guys to get a Fanatec wheel, and before you know it, he had talked in about 5 different people to get one. He ran it for a while, and then he started looking into the Mosleys, and apparently the Mosleys he liked much better. So he gave the Fanatec over to Dan Rubino. So Dan Rubino's been running that Fanatic. I call them Fanatic wheels.
Fanatec,
Fanatec.
Fanatec
for a while, and now Steve is on a Mosley. So Bino is on a Mosley. So
So the Mosley, like Fanatec was having some issues.
Sorry. Steve Rubino in the chat has corrected me. It's Moza.
Moza. Oh, it's called the wheel. Moza. Okay. So is Moza like a current company? Are they still in business?
Yep. Fanatec is not really doing well, but Moza is doing real well.
They took a butt kicking. I heard Fanatec. Their customer service was absolute trash, and they were getting a pretty bad rap for.
A lot of it too was around the era of COVID. They just I remember Steve talking about how he ordered something from them and it just took forever to get it.
Yeah. That was the thing. When COVID hit and everybody was trapped inside their house, and
everybody wanted to race.
Well, and then NASCAR actually, they broadcasted an iRacing race with their drivers, and then people who never even knew that racing simulators existed were like, "Oh, I can get online and race like an NASCAR thing. I'm gonna need one of them plastic steering wheels," and then Fanatec never stopped taking pre-orders, even though they had no supply to meet the demand.
Yeah.
So then you're on like a 7-month back order, and they won't answer the phones because they don't have enough employees to answer all the phones. So it's just, it wasn't really good for customer service.
I run on a $700 wheel, and some of them guys in the Moza and the Fanatec's are running on $3,000 wheels.
Oh, so Moza is right on par with Fanatec.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper than Fanatec, if I remember correctly, because I remember Steve talking about the wheels and stuff. But
okay, Steve says Bino is also driving them with a Moza as well. So see, I noticed like I've always had Logitech stuff. They're going into the direct drive now.
Oh, most of them are. All of them are.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I didn't expect to see that. I'm like, oh wow, that might be a little bit more affordable. But I've always been a fan of Logitech, so maybe, depending on price point,
it might be a little bit more affordable. But I think you'll still be, they'll still pay a pretty good penny for them. But
yeah,
because it's like, I think Jamie Tedder's on a G29 or G27. Everybody's on different wheels, but the wheels without the direct drive wheels, to me, it's not that important, but it's that force feedback, and you can set it up and you feel like when you're driving your real car, you hit a little bump, you can feel it with your steering wheel. Well, that's kind of what it does. They can set it up to do that.
No, it's a necessity. Like I can't race without it. If I don't have it, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I can't.
Like, what's wrong with my computer? I got to reboot it, try to get it working, because it is. We've talked about it in the past. Like this is an old Sam. You're not feeling the car per se, but you're used to the sounds that the tires make. You're used to the force feedback in your hands, and of course the visual as well.
Yeah.
So it's like all three of those things combined. If you don't have the little bit of tension in the wheel, it's weird.
I remember when a buddy of mine ran a black Momo. I went over to his house, and we just took the pedals and stuck them up on the table, and I was driving with it just to try it out. And I could not understand why they ran the force feedback, because you literally never even really had to turn the wheel. It almost stayed right in line. I was like, no, I don't like that. I want control.
Oh. Yeah.
Should be seeing
Robert Spring headed to the pits.
Robert Spring, he was pitting a little early as well. I think John Wall shouldn't be too far away from his pit stopping.
That looks like Viper to the pits right now, too.
I think John's trying to go a little longer.
Yeah, Viper's on the pits.
And here comes John Wall now, down on pit road.
John Wall in the yellow 0. Sponsored by Josh's Eggs.
That's going to leave Richard Napick is going to stay out. So he should get this lap led this time by.
Yep, there he goes. You can see him in the background.
The thing of it is now, even though, this is not points racing. None of these championship drivers are points racing per se. But if you're one of the 3 drivers that gets eliminated, then you're points racing. So next week, I said 3 more drivers are going to be eliminated. So let's say, you're Tom Goodman for not picking on Tom, just picking him out as, there. And you don't make it in the second round, but you finished, well in the first 2, that's a help. You know what I mean? The better you do, the better off you have the chance of taking that last spot for being the most points, out of the 9 drivers that didn't make it.
Right. Napick will lead that lap.
Yep.
So do we have, Tedder's right behind him, yep. So we have Aiden and Roger in behind the scenes there up in the tower.
Yep.
Can they inform us if anybody has veered from a 4-tire stop? Because that's all we've been seeing is full service.
Well, let me find out.
They would be the ones who could confirm if anybody's taken 2. Rod Weston in contact with league administration offices.
I was trying. I ain't heard back from him yet. But there again, we're almost on the middle of pit stops and whatnot. So.
Oh, did Tedder just do right sides only? as I was looking away, I think. Yep, Tedder just did right sides only.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, a different strategy. So, he wants to have, fresher tires later, so that gives him an extra, 2 tires maybe instead of doing a right side tire, only later on the later end of it, he can do 4.
And a little bit of, most guys are taking full service still. He's able to gain some track position back.
Yeah, if it depends too, if you're taking 4 tires and fuel, you can still get in and out pretty. The tires will take a little bit longer per se-ish, but if maybe he, because he did pit a little earlier than he had been, so maybe his fuel was a little different, and he's got the strategy figured out. So if he comes in and just takes 2, he'll come in later and take 4 and be quicker.
Right.
You're already past the halfway point, boy. It's just going right by without a caution.
Yeah, man. On to lap number 71 already.
And, John Wall is lapped all the way up to the 10th position. Robert Spring and Dan Rubino are his next victims. Now, we've known that they pitted a little earlier. They had fresher tires. But now John Wall has those fresher tires. So he's running them down pretty quick. It's his nose under Robert Spring there on the Exeter turn 2.
Yeah, Spring and Rubino are racing for position. That's for the 8th position. The yellow car of John Wall is the leader. So, but they don't need to yield to the leader. The leader just has to find a way around them. So, and especially when they're racing each other for position right now, John's not going to expect these guys to just pull over and let them go. They're working on each other. So,
right, they're not required to pull over, but in some aspects of it,
Robert
common courtesy. Yeah. Once John Wall gets his nose underneath there and he's got the position on you, there's not much you can do about it. You got to let him go. Yep. But they don't have to. They're not required to.
No. Nope.
Robert Spring's doing exactly what he's got to do right now. He is in the top 9 and point time. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to take a drink.
Take a drink.
Yeah. He's in 9th currently right now. John Wall's got him all lapped up all the way up to that 9th position. But if he finishes where he is now, he transfers over to the next week and still has a shot at the championship.
Nice. Rubino will be the next victim to go a lap down if John is able to make it stick. As I can say, he's got a few more laps on those tires. Oh, Rubino's going to force him to go around to the right side.
Hey, caution falls right now. Ooh, Robert Spring come in there. Got in there pretty hot.
He had to check up, yep.
But, if the caution were to fall right now, would be, it would stay on the lead lap. So, that's what he's trying to do. Robert Spring, he's looking up ahead saying, all right, he's going to pass Bino. I got to get past Bino so I can be the lucky dog should the caution come out. So
there you go.
Now we only got 7 cars on the lead lap. That's the thing about you got a driver like John Wall's capacity. He's pretty quick no matter what you do. Very good strategist. Pretty decent on his tires. If there's a fuel race to be won, I don't know if he's quite as good as Dennis, but Dennis Chambers is pretty good at that fuel mileage thing. We've seen that, and at over at SMO with them. But I've seen John Wall take races by 1 less pit stop than everybody else. And, it was kind of funny because then they get to the second race and then John says, all right, I'm not going to do that again this time. He still won.
Yeah. We just watched Richard Finkel losing some time there. Got passed by Spring and Rubino, 4th position, got lapped by Wall.
Viper has just pitted because is coming back out on the track right now. We're seeing a lot of different pit strategies in a way,
Mm-hmm.
Vito's trying to stay at the bottom of the track. Robert Spring is trying to figure out a way to get by him. And he almost punted Bino going into the corner. Robert's driving it in there fairly decent. He's basically rolling the corner a little better than Bino. But unfortunately, a couple of times there he's had to, take evasive action because he was rolling it just a little bit more and almost got into the back of him.
It looks like Wade Driscoll running in the 5th position right there, about to be lapped by Wall. That's crazy how John is able to lap this many people.
He's pretty good.
So consistent, man. And
See,
I mean,
Richard,
controller setup too, right? It's all in the... It all comes together.
The other thing too, though, you look at Richard Nafik is back there. He's about 15 seconds back. But you know what? He doesn't have to win the race. He's just got to, if he finishes in second, he's going to be good in the points for the, the elimination round part of it. But if he keeps finishing up there like that, then he's not going to have to worry about them points. So right now, I think you're seeing Richard's just kind of playing it safe, running a good race. As Wall's all the way up to the 4th, we only got 4 cars on the lead lap, and his next victim will be the 33 of Tom Goodman.
Tom Goodman running in 4th. Have you ever tried using joshseggs.co?
I've never tried to use it, but I did put stickers on my go-kart in the last 2 years.
I remember you did that. Yeah, you've got the racing team there, and you've got some stickers from the community on there.
Yep. I told Josh he sent me and I'd put them on there.
That's cool.
Last year they won me a championship, so.
There you go. Good luck. Good luck, Deckles.
Saw somebody on pit road and I was going by so fast I missed who it was. That would be RC. Dick Jordan's on pit road. Getting down to it. We're almost to the 25 laps to go, Mark, or close to it. Sorry, 15 laps to go.
Speaking of Josh, too, there he is there in that pink 85, running currently in 3rd. And he's 19 seconds behind the leader. And his best lap is 29 seconds. So
in the pink car.
Yeah. John putting on a clinic. Pending a catastrophic failure on the 0 car, I would imagine be a pretty safe bet that he may be able to win this race.
Good news for Jamie Tedder. He's, had that penalty, and he has been working his way. Still a lap down, but he currently is in the 9th position. Should the race stop where it is, he does transfer over, which is a good thing for him. First car that's out currently right now is the substitute for Dan Rubino. That is Tom Musa.
Good one to the pits.
I think we still have some pit stops to go here.
Yeah, so right now there's 20 laps to go. So anybody pitting now should be able to make it to the end of the race.
And caution free at that. That's pretty darn good. We haven't had a caution free race over here for a bit of a time, and now, I know, although you guys had one a couple of Thursdays back.
Yep.
Didn't get a chance to watch last Thursdays and see how that went.
It's a good race. Been some great races over there at Rolling Thunder. On board right now with Rubino in the 44.
Kind of keeping a focus on, where and whatnot. Tom Musa is just outside, but remember, we believe they all have one more pit stop to make, and that could change a lot around it. I believe Tom Musa has made his last pit stop for the night. Those fresher tires might get him up in there. And John Wall's headed to pit road. I am going to focus on his pit stop. I would like to see whether or not he does take 2 tires, 4 tires, or what he does. Jamie Tedder's pitting. Robert Springs pitting.
Yep. Everybody making their fourth and final pit stop. So tires shouldn't be an issue. I mean, even if you did 4 pit stops and took full service every time, you'd be fine. You'd have 2 tires left over.
Well, John Wall is only taking right side tires.
Okay. Rubino back down pit lane again.
Probably a speeding penalty. So that puts Rich Knappich back out on point. Really, that kind of shaked up the order a little bit. I believe... I'm trying to think about... yeah, we just saw Robert Spring pit not that long ago, I think it was. It'd be interesting.
Knappich in first again currently. And he has not pit yet, neither has John Wall. Has John Wall pit? Yes, he did. Knappich has not pit. Robert Springs on pit road now, so there comes Knappich. So he was the last one that needed... So he made this, he stretched this up till the end of lap 91. So that's he was able to make that one go the distance. Now he'll be able to drive the heck out of this thing because he'll probably get all 4 tires and just drive like a bat out of heck.
I'm going to watch to see what he does because he doesn't have to take a full amount of fuel. But you're probably right. It might be just enough fuel to get him to the end and 2 tires. So far he's taken rights.
Car up in the air for rights.
Just right side tires. Took enough
Rights
fuel
only.
to go the distance, and he's away. Now the question, where's that going to put him? Did he get a faster enough pit stop in and out of there to take over the lead away from John Wall?
We're going to see here. I'm going to stay locked on to Knappich.
I think Jamie Tedder just went by.
He's coming out in front
Tedder.
of Goodman, which is in 4th spot. It's putting Knappich currently in 3rd, but we got to wait for the kind of just do a lap, let the scoring settle down a little bit. There's the line there, which will report Knappich in 4th position. With a right side tire only stop.
Currently, Viper right now is the leader. We'll see what happens. He's only at 2nd. So Viper must have come in and pitted a bit prior. We missed it, kind of, sort of. And
I think I saw him at the corner of my eye. Yeah, he did not come in with Wall. He was early.
So he has gotten himself, the lead by being out there on those fresher tires. Now the downside to that is now John Wall is just over a second behind you and coming with fresh tires. So whether he can hold him off or not, that we'll have to wait and see.
We are 10 to go now. So we'll stay on the leaders, kind of wander around the whole field as the race goes on, just try to get everybody on the screen. With the last 10 laps.
As of right now, though, you've got Rick Johnson, Robert Spring, Rich Finkel, Wayne Disco, Josh Tu, Richard Knappich, Tom Goodman, John Wall, and Viper are your top 9 drivers so far. So if it were to stop right now, that's where they would be your championship drivers. But we still got a few laps to go. Positions are going to change, as they just did. Jamie Tedder moved into the 9th position.
Viper to the pits.
Oh, so Viper hadn't pitted yet. Okay.
No, Viper did pit. Everybody's made 4 pit stops. This will be Viper's 5th. I don't know why.
That's a bit strange. That's going to shake up the order probably a little bit.
Yeah.
At least with the top 6. You've got, the rest of the drives all the way back are a lap down. So you got the top 6 are on the lead lap.
No, he's into his stall, actually taking service. Could there be a fuel shortage, maybe? Because he's not... He took no tires. That looked like a fuel stop.
Wonder maybe if he took half a can or splash, thinking he might have been able to go the distance, and it didn't work. You know what I mean? To short-pitted it a little bit, made it as fast as he could, and his strategy backfired on him. But
maybe.
If he gets in and out, and he can stay within the top 9, he's still in a decent position. Rich Finkel just unlapped himself.
Interesting. That's a big mistake. If that's the reason Viper had to pit, if he miscalculated his fuel on that last stop, that's a big hit.
But if he can come out and still stay in the top 9, he's all set. Other than the fact that he missed out at possibly the most. Obviously, you've got to get yourself locked in. That's what you want to do. But at the same time, you've got to be thinking in the back of your head, if I don't make it, I need to be able to make sure I make enough points to make it.
Right.
5 laps to go. Wow, this race went flying by. Look over at the screen. You must have been playing around with your drone, and you went onto the track.
Yeah, he gets stuck.
I'm like, oh no, what happened?
Riding in the passenger seat with John Wall right now.
Aiden Driscoll and Richard Finkel are just in front of the leader. In danger of possibly going another lap down, but going back a lap down. But it all depends. I think they have fresher tires. Wall has got a great lead. The smart thing to do is just, stay out of trouble, keep the tires on there.
Yeah, currently with a 12-second lead.
Yeah.
6 cars on the lead lap. Everybody's still running, though.
Currently, right now, the last place slot is being held by Robert Spring for the cars that will transfer.
And Robert Spring is 9th, yeah, and then 10th place is Jordan. He's a couple seconds behind him. Not a couple seconds, like about a second behind him.
Just remember, you got 3 drivers that will not make it through to the transfer slots, but they'll still be racing to try to get the points.
Yeah, currently laps led Jamie Tedder with 2. Tom Goodman with 4. 8 laps led by Rich Knappick. 9 laps led by Viper. And 81 laps led by John Wall.
I think that's what you could call a domination. I'm just going to speculate.
Yeah. Going out on a limb with that one. Call that dominating.
All right, we are on the last lap. And if you notice, I think John Wall has just been, slowed down his pace a little bit. He's taking it easier. His times, are quite a bit off. And, Richard Knappick has actually been running him down, but he's got nothing, there's no way he's going to catch him. He's just cruising.
Yep. Yeah, John Wall's best lap tonight was 29.5 seconds. His last lap was 31.7. So
yeah,
he's definitely just playing it safe. And
allows
right about
Jamie
there,
Tedder to go by and unlap himself.
Yep. And that's the checkered flag. Your winner, the 0, John Wall.
Waiting for Jamie Tedder to come around and finish his lap.
Waiting for someone to crash into John. There's
Everybody
been no
hasn't
yellows.
finished the race yet,
Do we get a burnout?
What's that?
I said, do we get a burnout? I think we're going to get one. There's a victory circle here, too. I saw it behind the scenes. I wonder if he'll head there.
Unofficially, John Wall is your winner. Richard Knappick second. Tom Goodman in third. Richard Finkel in fourth. Josh 2 in fifth. Wayne Driscoll in sixth. Jamie Tedder in seventh. Eighth place is Robert Spring, and ninth place is going to be Viper. Now that's, unofficially, those are your 9 drivers that make the transfer slots and move into next week's race for the next elimination round. And get John Wall to, stop and celebrating. Well, maybe we'll get some drivers in here and interview.
Yeah. I'm going to see if he wants to go to there is a victory circle here.
Yeah.
I think it's just off, where is it?
I was joking because last week that's what we said to Jamie in the first race. If you weren't, celebrating for so long, you got through the interview sooner. I think RC was showing him the way to go.
Yeah, it's back here somewhere. Behind the scenes, maybe? Nope, it's not over there, John.
He's looking diligently.
Oh, there it is. We found it. It's in the middle of all these buildings. John's over there looking for it. Come on, John, he's looking for Victory Circle. It's in the center of all the garages over here.
Many as this guy's won, you would think that he would have...
Oh, look, who found it? Tedder found it. He's calling for John right now. He's sending out the search party. Just watch John's clearly not watching the broadcast. Here he comes. You go. Watch out for the people. Oh, my gosh. We've got casualties, but it's fine. The winner can do whatever the winner wants to do. Somebody just has to call the ambulance. We've got some casualties in the front row there. Your winner tonight, John Wall. And maybe these people there's a few of them that might have been injured, but it's fine. The champagne was getting warm.
Oh, gosh. Well, there you go. He transfers himself in, so now he knows, he's got the most points for the night, so just depends on, how the rest of the next 3 races go for him. Let's see if we can find Tom Goodman, a.k.a. Fast Cow, and we'll talk to him about his third place finish for the night. Tom Goodman, you got Rod and Blaine in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
You do? Third place, buddy. That's not too bad. That puts you, solidly, you're in for the next round, but also gives you plenty of good points should you not make it. I see you had a few troubles coming off the exit of the corner, but you had troubles going in the exit of one time bouncing off the wall.
No, yeah, that was my entry to pit road. Had I not made that mistake, I'd have been second.
Yeah. How was the tire wear? You guys could do, we figured about maybe around 22 laps.
Well, my goal was 23 on the first one.
Yeah. I
went in at 22. And I wasn't pushing it real hard. But I made 23, then I made 45. No, I made 46. I made 70. And then I made it with 20 to go for my last 2. I was easy in it, third set of tires.
Yeah, it worked out good for you, though. Put you into a third place finish. Like I said, transfers you over for sure to next week. You got 3 drivers out there that going to be hungry next week to try to get as much points as they can. To try to be the guys that are going to be that last driver that can transfer up to there. You got some pretty good stiff competition out here with John Wall, Jamie Tedder and them guys out there. Some of them guys from SMO, they come over there here and they kind of stink up the show a little bit. But you think you can come out? You think you can get into that last top 3 and without doing it through points, and maybe come out of here with that championship?
Maybe, if I practice a lot.
You should practice a lot.
Yeah, I practice a lot for this race.
I know you do. I've gone in here and turned 20 laps and then looked at you, and you've ran over the race distance of a race sometimes.
Yeah, just trying out different tire strategies.
We talked about you once, and even last week about that, because Blaine was saying something about, well, you could, when you only get, 10 tires to use, you could go out with the 4 you got on there, put 2 on the right side, run that out, and then go out there with 4 at the end. And I said, yeah, Tom tried that. I forget what track that was at, but it didn't work out very well for you.
That's why I didn't do it. I tried it offline too, and taking 2 on the third set was not a bad plan, but I found I lost too much ground. It was better. I was better off pushing the 4 tires as long as possible and making it as short a run as possible for the 2.
Yeah, that's kind of why I figured that we had spoke about it, and I said that they'd be better off to do if your 2 tires, the very last, where you'll have the least amount of time on them, and that way your left side tires aren't going to be as bad.
Yep.
Blaine,
It was a great race, though. It was really, really a lot of fun. How about that? No cautions.
Absolutely, that was great. I think that was awesome. Blaine, do you have a question for Tom?
I was thinking with the tire limit being 18, you guys seem to have, it wasn't really going to come down to like running out of tires, really. Like, it seemed like there was enough tires to get you guys to the end of this thing without having to really strategize too hard, or am I wrong?
Well, I'll tell you this. If there would have been enough gas, there wouldn't have been enough tires. But because there wasn't enough gas, you had to conserve the fuel, and so that saved the tires, so we had plenty of tire left. But 2 guys blew their tires on the last lap or 2.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
It was really close both ways. It was real interesting. It was actually almost perfect challenge.
Right. Oh, yeah, because it was 3X, so it was going to be chewing up tires.
Well, I found that if I went all the way into the entry of the turn and then clutched and let it roll down to like 170 and then powered out, I could run 2 2980s with the draft, 2970s, and so as long as I had a draft, I could keep up the speed without hurting the tires. If you go in there real hard and only back it off 2 miles an hour and hit it again, your tires are going to go in a hurry.
Oh, okay.
Because the car is tight. If you wanted to go all out, it was tight. If you backed off just a little bit, it was almost neutral.
Oh, very cool. All right. Congratulations on your 3rd place finish, and transferring into the next week's round championship. We'll give you the opportunity to thank anybody you want to thank. The floor is yours.
Well, thank Roger for coming back in and being the official on the race, and for both of them setting up this league. It's been pretty popular, and I've been with Tom since 2011, so we've raced a lot. He's doing a good job.
That's it, short, sweet, and to the point. Well, congratulations on your 3rd place finish, and looking forward to see if you can keep this championship hope alive next week.
Yeah, thank you guys too. Awesome coverage.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
All right.
Well,
See ya.
good job, buddy.
Fast cows.
Bias cow. Rich, you got Rod and Blaine in the booth. You got a copy.
Yeah, got you guys.
Geez, we talked with you a little bit last week. You were able to, your strategy was a little different than John Wall Vipers. They pitted a little bit ahead of you guys. We were wondering if you guys were going to try to go a little bit further on that second one, and you did. Jamie went a little bit further than you did. But for a minute there, I wasn't sure if your strategy was really going to pay off. But as it come out to it, you ended up come out of here and you ended up with a 2nd place finish.
Yep. I was like 3 to the good to them guys on fuel. I was able to go 2 to 3 more laps. So I just kept I was going to be consistent with that and see how it panned out.
Yeah, you kind of looks like you lost a little bit of ground maybe on tires there, but all in all, the strategy it paid out. It worked out great for you. But by the time you got to the end of it, it kind of seemed like you and Jamie were running kind of the same pace. Tom was pretty close to you there. You guys weren't running them down. I think you were just. I think you had the smarter strategy of the night, just staying out of trouble, trying to keep tires underneath you. And Tom Goodman was saying something about that. We didn't know, but the fuel was more important than kind of tires per se.
To a point, I guess. I wasn't worried about fuel. I was more worried about saving tires, especially the last 20 laps, because I only had 2 left. So I was able to take the 2 right sides, and I just was saving the last 20 laps.
Yeah, but you were running John down. We were watching you. You were creeping up on him. Obviously John had a fairly good lead, so he had the ability to I think he was smart to do that, slow down and just, didn't abuse what he had because he didn't need to. But you were running him down a little bit. But hey, coming out here at second place, that should you not make it through, which I don't believe that's going to happen. But things can happen. That's a good points night for you. Just if you don't make it through all of the elimination rounds, but I have a feeling you'll be there and get out there and maybe get out there and take this championship away from some of them SMO guys.
Yeah, you never know. It's racing.
Yeah, it's true.
But it was a good points night. You're right. I was just trying to be consistent, and I just needed to do what I needed to do.
Yeah, I race your race, and if it worked out, you felt. We're always saying, this race went, caution free. We got to about the 3/4 mark, and we were talking a little strategy, and I said, well, all that strategy could go right out the window with one caution.
Yep. You know what? What did we do? 105 laps, and not one caution, man. Hats off to everybody who raced tonight. It was an excellent job by everybody.
Yeah, no spins, no nothing. I mean, it was everybody ran. I would say everybody kind of ran their own race. There was some good racing out there. We watched, John Wall work his way by some of I think it was Robert Spring and Vino out there, and they were not going to give it up, but they were, respectable, which they should be. So everybody respected each other tonight, and it was an awesome race.
Yeah, everybody was on their own strategy, and that's what kind of staggered the pit stops. So you didn't have like 8 or 7 cars or coming in at one time, and that's when you run into trouble,
Of course, when you guys do that, pitting on off the backstretch too, that eliminates a lot of that hecticness kind of coming into the pits. You got time to get woed down, and we're coming on a pit road, out of 4 sometimes just creates havoc.
Yeah, definitely. It gives you more time to just slow down, like you said, and just go easy into the pits.
All right. Well, Blaine, you got a question for Rich?
I was curious about when the race starts and you're not sure really how it's going to go. Like, do you get a vibe at a certain point where this thing is probably going to go green the whole way? Does that change the way you strategize your pit stops?
I was on my own deal, and I wasn't really worried about the cautions. I just needed to finish. I was anywhere in the top 5. I would have been happy, just to move on. That was my strategy. I wasn't racing. You always race to win, but that wasn't a priority tonight.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you just got to lock yourself in position wise.
Yes. Yep.
Very, very cool. So, well, congratulations on the second place, and that's awesome. That moves you into it, and looking forward to next week to see what you can do there. I think it's at USA, and we'll give you an opportunity to thank anybody you want to thank. The floor is yours.
Okay, thanks to you guys doing a broadcast. Thanks to Raj and Tom, everybody who races at TMP. Thanks to whoever was watching tonight. Hope you enjoyed the race, and we'll see you guys next week.
There you go. Second place finisher tonight transfers himself into the championship round for next week. So congratulations, Rich.
Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, you got Rod and Blaine in the booth. You got a copy, Mr. Wall.
Hello there.
So would you call that a 300 game? I had to throw that in there. You missed bowling tonight to come here and race for the championship.
I sure did, and they didn't even text me back to let me know how they did tonight. I'm kind of upset about that.
Man.
So we would call that, the pretty good 300 game, or at least a, 299. But he led the most laps. He got out there. The strategy was good. We see at the end of there, you kind of backed off because there was no reason to kill the car, and save what you had because, obviously you took the 2 tires for the last stop. Am I missing anything? I mean, that was pretty good race for you.
We'll put it back to bowling terms. I didn't lead them all, so it wasn't perfect. I'll give myself like a 275 or something like that. A good 700 series, maybe an 800 series. But no, it was a great race. Strategy-wise, I really didn't think much of it other than run as many laps as I can and then pit with one lap to go on the fuel. I knew it was going to be really, really tight, and then my 2-tire stop at the end and fuel was I was a little worried about that left front tire. I was like, well, let me back it down some more just in case, but it held up. The pit stops were great. I kind of struggle with pit entry, a lot of times when there are green flag pit stops in a lot of these league races, but I nailed it today.
Didn't have a bad one. You come out, you and Viper kind of pitted the same kind of strategy there at the beginning, but every time you'd come out about a second and a half ahead of him, a little more than that, he'd start running you down a little bit. Kind of think maybe he was just, being a little more aggressive. Then it would settle out, and you'd pit again, and then you'd have that same advantage. And unfortunately, there near the end, I'm not really sure what happened with him, but he kind of lost touch with you. And then Rich Nappett was able to get up there. Rich and Tom Gooden was able to get up there in the top 3. So I'll go with the 275, but still a great race for you.
Yeah, I had Viper on whisper, and I whispered him after that pit stop, and he got in front of me, and I said, "Hey, did you take 2 or 4?" And he says, "Yeah, I took 4." I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, well, hell, that's a great strategy. I think you're ahead of me now, and you should be good to go. And then a few laps later, he says, I got a pit for fuel. I'm like, wait, that wasn't your last stop? So I don't know where he kind of got off sync or what he did to get himself off sync. Maybe he was trying a different strategy, but it's unfortunate for him. At least he made the top 9, so he's still in it. But yeah. There was no cautions. These guys did a great job tonight at TMP, the drivers, as far as keeping it clean. I commend them, give them an attaboy for that. That was really good.
Caution-free race, that's pretty awesome. I raced over here with you guys a bit. We don't get too many caution-free races, so that was pretty good. Everybody was pretty respectable. So, Blaine, do you have a question for Mr. Wall?
We're talking about the caution-free race. That setup must have been just mint.
It was pretty good. If you overdrove the car, you're gonna pay the price on the tire wear. But as long as you let the car roll, I had the broadcast kind of going in the background on my phone while the race was going on. But I think Rod, you nailed it as far as pitching the car into the corner. You kind of work your way from the top, work your way down, kind of dime in the corner a little bit. If you could do that and keep a minimum of the tire squalling, you're good to go. And of course, your fuel, you just got to watch that. But yeah, if you could just work the corners, let the car roll, let the car basically do what it wants to do without overdriving it, you'd be just fine.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because we had, I think it was Tom Goodman who said he was more concerned about fuel. Richard Nappett was more concerned about tires. So the setup was balanced out enough to where, they almost kind of fell off at the same time.
Yeah, my target number was 23. I did run 23 laps in practice, and all my pit stops were 23, 23, 20, whatever it was, and the last pit stop was like under 20. So I knew I was gonna be good to go with fuel. And my right sides, I was trying to baby that left side a little bit more and back it down a little bit. I think I ended up letting Jamie get back on the lead lap at the end. I said, "Well, here's your mulligan, Jamie. Enjoy it."
I thought you were just being nice and let him go.
Oh no! I don't give them breaks.
Gotta go to win, man. We've talked to guys about that before. Where it's like you race to win. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah. We had guys that get together, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys are all from the same league. Are you out there just to help out this guy because he was in the points and the other guy wasn't?" And he goes, "Oh no, we work together all night long, but when it comes down to it, I don't care. If I'm out front, I'm winning this darn thing."
Yeah.
Well, he won the championship last season, so if I can eliminate him, I got to eliminate him.
But I think he did that himself because he sped down pit road, I believe.
Oh yeah, he was kicking himself on Whisper as well. I said, "Hey, hang in there. It's not over yet."
He was able to transfer in. That's good. The only ones that didn't make it was Tom Musa, RC, and Dan Rubino. But like we said, they're still mathematically in it. They just, they've got to have the next two races be real good for them.
Yep, they got points. They're points race, so they might have to sacrifice the win. Or try to just go for the win, but they just try to get the max points they can to get to that final round.
We want to congratulate you on your win tonight. That's transferring in. I'm sure that next week it ain't going to be too much different, but we'll give you the opportunity to thank anybody and everybody, especially the bowling team that let you come play here tonight. So the floor is yours.
I'm a little nervous because I just moved about 20 minutes away from the bowling alley, a little further. And I was already cutting it close on the races, so we'll see how next week goes. Hopefully, I can make it on time. But I want to thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast. Like I said, I had it in the background while I was racing, so I'll have to physically watch it later on or tomorrow. But I definitely want to thank these guys here at TMP. I'll tell you. Tom, he does a great job. He did a great job all season. He had a lot on his plate, a lot on his hands. Us drivers complaining, me being one of them. But, he's done a great job. Of course, our guys here at SMO that, we race with Viper and Jamie and Josh and RC, from SMO that race here anyways. So it's always good to work with them. Really, that's about it for now. Of course, Josh with his Josh's Eggs, he's always been backing me throughout the past few years. So if you're in North Carolina, get you some Josh's Eggs.
Well, there you go. Tonight's winner and transfers on. I have a feeling he's going to be probably one of that top three if he can make it back here. You're just going to have the wife start the computer up, get you in there, and get you all situated. So when you come home, it just slide in the seat and go.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play my first two games and then just skip out on that third game and run a handicap for it and just book on home.
There you go. Congratulations on the win, John.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Good job tonight on the broadcast.
Well, there you go. Caution-free race, 105 laps. John Wall comes out on top. Richard Nathik, Tom Goodman. I keep calling him John, and we're going to keep doing that. I'm really good with those names. The three drivers, that didn't make it tonight would be Tom Musa, John, RC, Dick Jordan, and Dan Rubino. But like I said, they're not out of it. They just got to keep, digging and points their way back in. I think Blaine must have stepped away for a minute. Dog probably had to go out.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I was just getting ready to say, I see Dan Little made it into the chat tonight. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to shout at you. We got kind of busy there at the end.
Yeah, there's a bunch of interaction on there. There's about 70 hits live and a bunch of people interacting with it too, so super cool.
Very cool.
Man. I love a green flag race all the way to the end like that. It's craziness.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I mean, we not saying it just this league. Most all the leagues we run at, it's very, even the Talladega races, it's very not very common that you get a caution-free race. Like I said, the guys ran respectable tonight. We saw a few close things that happened, a little bit of bumping, a little banging, but everybody kept it straight and caution-free. That was awesome, and congratulations to the 9 drivers that made it in. Pretty tickled pink. My buddy Robert made it in for this week, so next week we'll just have to work on him getting into making sure he finishes in the top 6.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying too, it's almost like everybody once it got going, everybody just sort of ran their own race. So like, okay, after about 10, 15, after the first pit stop, they can kind of see, okay, this is how the tires are going to wear, this is how the fuel's going to go. I can just do this. And everybody gave everybody room. But there was still some good bumper-to-bumper racing out there, and at the end of the day, though, it all turned out to be great. Good sportsmanship all around.
It is kind of hard when, you come in here. I mean, I would come in here and I would probably do, all right, we're doing 105 laps. How many pit stops is it going to take me to get that done? You do it math with it, and you come out and you say, all right, well, in that case, I got to pit every 22 laps, or whatever. I got to pit this much. This is how I got to make it work.
And so maybe a bonus one, yeah.
Every great strategy can be just thrown right out the door by one caution. So sometimes you kind of think about, well, there's probably going to be a few cautions, so maybe I'm going to do this, or maybe I'm going to do that. If the caution comes out, I'm going to come down and take fuel, and that's going to change. It changes your strategy all around, because remember, you can't take tires under yellow flag conditions here. So that would have made a massive difference, because everybody's on that like 4 pit strategy thing. Well, under yellow, what are you going to do? You can't. You come in and take fuel, right? Or no, damage only. Fuel and damage is all you can take.
Right.
There's a penalty that it occurs if you take tires.
Yeah, like that would have been. It was almost easier that there was no yellow flags.
Yes. Oh, it is. I 100% believe that to a certain extent. If you get an early one within the first 5 laps, you come down and you take fuel. That sometimes it works out a little better, because maybe your strategy was to pit it. I'm just going to use tonight at 22, and now you can go to like 25. Well, in 105 laps, that puts you in a little bit different window. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anybody prepared tonight thinking it was going to go green. So they just kind of went out. This is my strategy, and some people probably had the strategy of thinking, well, you usually have a caution or so maybe I'll pit a little earlier than I got the fresher tires, caution comes out, and it never did. So, the strategies were, like you said, everybody had their own little bit of a strategy. They were pretty similar, were pretty close, but I think the one strategy that got messed up a little bit was just, Jamie Tedder, when he caught speeding, that messed his night up as far as the night. He made it in still, but like we said, that points wise, he would have been a little bit better off points wise should he have not made it in to be the top 3 at the end. So
yeah, the thing, just barely too, there's only 12 guys started the race tonight, but man, that could have been a major league issue, having dropped below that ninth spot, but was able to keep it in there. But anything can happen. And USA International next week, I don't know if I know that track. I guess I'm going to find out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know what they used to call, I think 5 flags has been called that, but I don't know if it's 5, the old 5 flags. So it'd be interesting to see.
Might be a different name.
Yeah, it could be, but then again, it could be, it could be a totally different track. I do know that they do have Trenton coming up, which is a pretty cool track. It doesn't exist anymore. But, it's,
really?
It was, it doesn't exist at all anymore.
Because in the thumbnail for this, I use Trenton because their back straightaway sort of has a little bit of a right angle to it, or right sweep.
Well, reverse kink in it.
Right. So that track doesn't exist. You mean it's been demolished?
Yep. Yeah. It's in New Jersey, or was in New Jersey, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
Anybody out there that doesn't know that, if you ever go you watch Pocono. Pocono's got 3 tracks on it. Well, the Pocono was designed where turn 1 was actually turn 1 at Trenton. So
right.
turn 1 and 2 at Trenton is actually turn 1. It was modeled around it. Turn 2, is modeled around Indy, and turn 3 is Milwaukee Mile. So
Yeah, that Pocono is a weird one, where they actually, let's do this, and this. So that's neat. So then Trenton still lives on in Pocono.
Yeah,
because it was
that
inspired the.
Yep.
What inspired Pocono's 25 lane wide front stretch?
I'm not sure, but
that's a lot of tarmac.
Yeah, it's a long. I think it's the longest straight that NASCAR runs on.
Yeah, because that's not it's like a 2 mile long, a little bit longer than 2 miles, I think. But it's not a super speedway. It's crazy. But Pocono's cool. I mean, a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's cool.
What they don't like about it is it's not like your typical kind of cookie cutter or stock oval.
But that's
when
why
you do
we
the
need
open
it.
setup.
It's such a weird track, the Tricky Triangle, all this stupid names they have for it. But that's why it's the only track like that. It's very unique.
And you have to basically almost have a different setup for 1 and 2, a different setup for 1, different setup for 2, and just have a setup for 3. But the smart people will make the car work in 3 and sacrifice the rest. Higher bank corners, a flat track car will go better at a higher bank corners than a car set up for the higher bank will on a flat track.
Right. Yeah, it would be a pain to set up for Pocono, but
not really. Just put your best Milwaukee Mile setup in and get the gearing right.
Oh, there you go.
Literally. Yeah. Set your best flat track setup in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Tweak it from there.
Yep. I did that one day. I can't remember exactly what version of Pocono it was. I was trying to come up with a setup. So I had a setup for Indy that literally you went into the corner and you started to turn to the left and you just turned right. And you were drifting. And I threw that in there, changed the gear, and ran 4th gear all the way around and dominated.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yep.
Shit, well, that's the thing. It's funny how, I mean, again, and you're you own an actual race team too. You run these, you run cars on tracks and these little tricks and stuff, that's neat. And so, that's dominate an open, go there in an open setup league and just walk away with it. Man, how did you do that? Well, there you go.
Well, the thing too, though, is I raced at a track that the highest banking on it was 9 degrees. So it's a flat track. And then you've heard of Monadnock. People have raced it online and such like that. That's about 2 hours south of me. I went down there with the exact same car. The only thing I changed was a little bit of air pressure and went right to the high side and just rolled it. I mean, I think I finished 3rd my first time ever being there. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had to start in the back because I wouldn't run there regularly. I just worked my way up through the pack on the high side and made it up to the 3rd. I actually made it up to 2nd until I hit the guy. It was in 3rd first. I hit the guy in 2nd. Broke a hood pin that caused me to go down the straightaways with my hood up. Couldn't see very well.
Yeah, if at all.
Guy in front of me had a black car. Couldn't see him. Kept hitting him. Then finally I messed up. Yeah, it was night race.
Yeah.
Finally, I messed up, and the guy that went by me had a pink car, and I'm like, all right, now I can see him. Because I was looking under the hood. I mean, the hood was popping up, and I was looking down, past my air filter and down under the hood to see where I was going.
The hinges are holding it just high enough where you could see under.
There was no hinges. It was just sheet metal. It was just held on by 4 hood pins.
Pins, yeah, right. Jeez.
So the left front pin came out because when it hit the guy, it knocked it out, and that whole piece just flopped up right in front of my face.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The joys of short track racing.
Yep. Well, it was a good race. Look forward to next week.
Yeah, it was very good, yeah. And then, of course, we got a busy schedule coming up, obviously. Tomorrow we'll be here at the Talladega Challenge at RTG with FRN. Seth is out, Jack is in, and Kyle as well, I do believe. Well, hey, tune in tomorrow to see that. That's a simulcast. I take this feed and I duplicate it and send it to FRN so their fans can see it. But it's a Tarnation TV production. And of course, on Saturday, March 21st, the Bob Dixon 250, hosted by Primetime Racing League. Graham McDonald, Keith Bynum over there, doing a tribute to Bob Dixon. Passed away there a little while ago. This should be a cool race. We got some stuff planned for that one. And a neat little pre-show, some special request kind of stuff. It's always neat to try to see what we can pull off. That race is the 21st, which is Saturday, and of course Maverick returns. We'll be back here Tuesday off this week, not so much next week. The 24th, we're going to Las Vegas, which is what we just did here. Robin Hunker Memorial Race. That's Ben Snyder's aunt who passed away a couple years back there, so it's he does that race for her every year. And you can see there, TMP Racing Series right here again next week. That's actually 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I made a mistake. It's 8:15 Central. But
hopefully, with any luck, we'll be doing RV there yet on Wednesday. I mean, Monday.
Monday, yeah. I hope so.
Monday.
Mondays have been weird at work. It's just been long days on Mondays, but we'll see what happens. It's always up in the air. And as always, thanks to TMP for having us in here. Tom and Josh, and there's tons of guys that are responsible for having us in here. You, Rod, I mean, you went and tracked these guys down and got us in here. So, thanks everybody for watching, interacting on the channel. Do you have any parting words?
Good. Said my piece. You were good.
Yeah, right on, man. Well, as always, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Keep your stick on the ice.